So Bleacher Report dropped their top 25 free agent predictions for this offseason, and you know I gotta react to it. I went and did my own predictions about every single MLB free agent this offseason. If you have not yet seen that, go check it out after you watch this video. There haven't been many free agent predictions I feel like made by anybody, so I want to see what Bleacher Report says. Usually they are a little bit crazier than most, so I'm expecting some bold predictions. I'm expecting some crazy takes, and hopefully, I don't know if I want them to say Juan Soto to the Mets. Bleacher Report sometimes isn't the most accurate. Okay, so there's a few things they want us to keep in mind. The most important thing here is the contract projections, because those should be relatively similar regardless of what team each free agent signs with. I think that's fair. While the team projections aren't just a shot in the dark, there is a kind of domino effect. If Blake Snell signs with one team, that likely means Corbin Burns and Max Fried will end up elsewhere. I think that's super fair. There is a lot of nuance to doing free agent predictions that I think sometimes the comment section does forget. I'll keep that in mind too. Not all 30 teams are projected to land one of these free agents, but they could sign a free agent outside the top 25 and or use the trade market to bolster their roster. Fair enough. I know a lot of people were like, my team didn't do enough. You might be more likely to make moves on the trade market rather than necessarily on the free agent market for a big player. Okay, so they're giving us a bonus, Roki Sasaki. I'm assuming they're going to pick the Dodgers, although there's been a rumor. No, there's nothing about Roki. I think they're just saying that basically he's someone who we're going to keep an eye out for. All right, let's move it on. Top 25, Carlos Estevez. Carlos Estevez, I put on the Arizona Diamondbacks. They think 2 years, $23 million with the Chicago Cubs, and I don't disagree. Estevez is a good reliever. He's a guy who has closer experience. He was a really good closer last year for the Phillies and the Angels. He's been solid. 2 years, $23 million, I think would be a really fair deal. The Chicago Cubs desperately need someone in the back end of their bullpen. This makes sense to me. He doesn't walk anybody. He's a good pitcher. He couldn't get Francisco Lindor out because, of course, he hit that grand slam in the NLDS. Oh, Drew, I'm so sorry, my editor. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you. That was a complete accident. He's a Phillies fan, in case you guys didn't know. But I really like this fit. Carlos Estevez is going to be a closer for a team that is trying to compete for a playoff spot this year. Cubs would have a significantly better bullpen, and this is coming on the eve of the news that Adbert Alzolay is going to be DFA'd, so they're definitely looking for a closer. All right, next up, Blake Treinen had a really good season. Was amazing in the World Series. He's got some devastating stuff. 1 year, $10 million, I think feels fair for the Phillies. I could totally see him being a part of that Phillies bullpen. I expect the Phillies, the Royals, maybe even the Dodgers, Giants, like all these teams that are competing should be interested in Blake Treinen. The one thing that does concern me is he has had arm issues. He is a bit older, but on a 1 year, $10 million contract to the Philadelphia Phillies, it makes sense. When he's on, he might have the nastiest stuff out of anybody in the bullpen. That sinker moves like 10 feet. The slider is unhittable when it's on. He has the ability to be a dominant closer reliever type, whatever you want to slot him in. This would be a good ad for anybody, especially at 1 year, $10 million. Tough to find that kind of value. And then, yeah, here's a pitching ninja clip. Maybe we could blow it up or whatever. It's not fair, his sweeper. Clay Holmes, the former Yankees closer, I had him going to the Chicago Cubs. Bleacher Report has him on a 2 year, $24 million contract to the Baltimore Orioles. I think I've seen a couple people project Clay Holmes to go to the Orioles. I see it. The only thing is, I think Clay Holmes is going to want to be a closer, and Felix Bautista is coming back for Baltimore. When that guy is healthy, he's one of the best closers in the league. I don't necessarily know if Clay Holmes is going to want to be an eighth inning man. 2 years, $24 million. I could see him getting a 3 year, $34 million contract from the team, maybe like the Chicago Cubs, who is where I put him on. I could see him getting a similar deal to pitch for the New York Mets. The Baltimore Orioles definitely need some more bullpen arms. I think that would help them out a bit. You can never have too many. I just don't know if Clay Holmes to the Orioles is my favorite pick. I know Holmes struggled at the end of the year with the Yankees, blew a bunch of saves, ended up losing that closer role, but I do think he is a good pitcher, and he just kind of had a rough year and pitched in one of the tougher parks as a pitcher, especially for those cheap home runs to the corner. But yeah, when his sinker's on, it's disgusting. Okay, Gleyber Torres, another former New York Yankee. I had him going to the Miami Marlins. Bleacher Report has him going to the Seattle Mariners on a 1 year, $15 million deal. Yeah, I would be shocked if Gleyber signs anything more than a 1 year deal. He does need to prove himself a little bit. This past season, a 709 OPS, you're just not going to get paid. He has the ability to get paid if he has a good year. The problem is, I don't know if going to Seattle is the place where you go on a 1 year contract to then end up getting paid. Look at what just happened to Jorge Polanco. I mean, they straight up got rid of him. He got traded there, of course, but he had a horrible season, and now he's going to kind of be fighting for his next contract. It won't be nearly as good as what it would have been a couple seasons ago. Gleyber, Miami, Seattle, both of those are probably terrible fits in terms of trying to get paid, so I'll give him that. Seattle does need a second baseman. It makes sense. I legitimately don't know where Gleyber goes, though. He's one of the more interesting free agents just because the inconsistency in his play. Like, when he is on and when he's sharp, he can be a very valuable asset to your team, but he's so inconsistent. He's super lazy in the field. He's not a great athlete. I really don't know what the upside is, because he's never hitting 38 home runs again. He's probably not hitting 30 again. He's never hit more than 25 since that 2019 season. So he's a weird case, but definitely not bad, if that makes sense. All right, Jock Peterson, I think a lot of teams should be interested in him. One of the best DH options available on the market. Crushed it for the Arizona Diamondbacks this past year. Kansas City Royals, I love the fit. In my video, I was actually between the Kansas City Royals and the Washington Nationals. I think both of these teams make a lot of sense. 2 years, $28 million is right around where I'd expect him to be. 1 for 15, I don't think would be bad either. He probably wants multiple years. If given that and you drop a couple million off because you get that multiple year deal, teams that are going to be competing are going to want Jock Peterson. There's not many better left-handed DH bats available that you can slot in and give you 20 plus homers, give you an OPS in 900. Now, he can't play the outfield anymore. He's a butcher out there. He is strictly a DH, and you don't want him facing left-handed pitching. But for the right team in the right lineup, he could be an awesome acquisition. And even if you're not a competitive team, he's a guy that can give you an everyday major league player at the DH spot and then become a trade piece at the trade deadline if you're not in it. Next up, we've got Jurickson Profar. It's got to be the Padres, right? Yeah, Padres, 2 years, $34 million with a $17 million club option for 2027. I don't think we need to talk more. Jurickson Profar is born to play for the Padres. It seems like it's a perfect fit. I can't see him leaving. They gave him a shot last year when he signed a little bit later into spring training or right before spring training after the Caribbean Series, and he had a breakout season at 32. He was a former top prospect. Things started to click this past year, and it looks sticky. He's an on-base king, doesn't strike out, 24 homers, 85 RBIs, 839 OPS is just phenomenal. He was one of the best left fielders in baseball this year. I think teams would love to have him, and maybe they get into a bidding war over 32-year-old Jurickson Profar, but I just see him signing a pretty fair deal with the Padres like they have here. I don't know why. I didn't include him in my free agent prediction. I just missed him, I think. Next, we have Tyler O'Neal, and Tyler O'Neal they have going to the Minnesota Twins. Ooh, I did not consider Tyler O'Neal to the Minnesota Twins. Okay, they have Matt Wallner, they have Byron Buxton, and they got rid of Margot. Max Kepler's no longer there. Was it Kirilloff or Larnick just retired? Yeah, I could see it. I could see Tyler O'Neal being a fit. I know they have Emmanuel Rodriguez in the minors that's coming up and looks like a really good ball player. He's more of a center field type player, though. I don't hate this. I don't think it would have been my first pick. I don't really know what the Twins are doing this offseason. I'm having a hard time picturing what their plan's going to be because Rocco Baldelli is still somehow the manager of that team, despite failing them year after year after year. But I don't hate this. It's just not, it's probably not one of my favorite landing spots for Tyler O'Neal right now. Ha-Sung Kim, 1 year, $14 million to the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm going to be honest, I don't see the Dodgers spending $14 million over 1 year, just like on a Ha-Sung Kim type. Reason being, they brought back Miguel Rojas. They have Tommy Edman. I know their outfield is sketchy, so maybe Tommy Edman plays center field next year, because right now it's like James Outman and Andy Pages who are going to be filling up the rest of this outfield at the current time of recording this video. But to me, Ha-Sung Kim, I mean, he's a good ball player. I think he'd fit well in that Dodgers team. But they kind of just proved that you don't really need to have a shortstop that's that great when you have the rest of the players on their team. They won a World Series with Tommy Edman and Miguel Rojas being their shortstop for a good chunk of the year. Mookie Betts is playing the infield. Gavin Lux played second base. Like, I don't know if they're going to spend, and if they do, I think it would be on like a Willy Adames type, where go spend a ton of money, get a franchise player, rather than a stopgap 1 year at shortstop. I think they're going to spend that $14 million, 15 to 20 on an outfielder instead, because he'll just be a bigger impact player, I think. Jeff Hoffman. Okay, there's a lot of rumors that Jeff Hoffman could be used as a starter. They think he's going back to Philly on a 3-year, $39 million contract. I think that's pretty fair. I've been seeing 3 for 36. I've been seeing 3 for 40. That seems to be the range. There is rumors, though, that teams are going to want to roll him out at starter again. I don't think the Phillies would be one of those teams. I think they'd be using him in the bullpen. So maybe it comes down to if Jeff Hoffman wants to or not. But there's a world where he gets a Seth Lugo-ish contract, becomes a starter, and could be really good. It depends what that fastball is going to look like, because out of the bullpen, he was phenomenal. I don't see him on the Phillies, though. I really don't. They kind of are in a weird spot where they have to spend money on bullpen, but they have to spend it wisely because the rest of this roster does get paid a lot of money. I don't know if you spend $40 million on Jeff Hoffman right now. Nathan Eovaldi, one of the more interesting starting pitchers available, 35 years old, 2 years, $39 million to the Washington Nationals. I'm going to be honest, I don't get that at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think more competitive teams will be in the running for Nathan Eovaldi. I think he's going to get $20 million a year from those competitive teams. I don't see him signing 2 for 39 with the Nationals. I also don't see the Nationals need to sign Nathan Eovaldi to this contract. Like, it just doesn't really make sense here. I know they're in a rebuild spot, but they have a lot of good young pitching right now. And if Cade Cavalli can come back and be any sort of healthy, that would be nice. Mackenzie Gore's still there. DJ Hurst look really good. Mitchell Parker is solid. Got Cole Henry. I think there's a couple other names that I'm missing. Jake Irvin. Like, they actually kind of have a plethora of starting pitching. Nathan Eovaldi to the Nationals makes no sense to me at all. Yusei Kikuchi, one of the sneaky best pitchers available on the market. He was discussing with the Astros. They have him going to the Angels on a 3-year, $51 million contract. So that would be, I mean, that's way less than $20 million a year. If the Angels got him for 3 for 51, that would be a Perry Minasian masterclass. That's like what, 16? Is that even 16? That's like $16 million a year, 16 and a half, maybe, or that's 17. That's $17 million. Bad math. It's been a while since I've been in school. That would be a steal for Yusei Kikuchi. On the Astros, he had like a 30+% K rate. His walks were down. He's got good stuff. I don't know if the contract's going to be right. I'd buy the Angels as a team that could use Yusei Kikuchi, but that contract feels way too friendly. There's no he's going to be getting like close to $20 million a year. I think that would be like 3 for 58 at the least. I don't see it going much under $20 million a year. And if it does, could be one of the best deals. The Astros would do this in a heartbeat, by the way. And I think he would just pick the Astros over the Angels. Okay, former New York Met, because he declined the option right now. As of right now, he's not a Met. Luis Severino, they have him going to the Detroit Tigers, 2 years, $38.5 million with an opt-out available after 2025. I think that is a contract that we could definitely see from Severino. He did decline the qualifying offer, which would have paid him about $21 million this year, but it was only a one-year deal. So seemingly, he probably wants more years with less money because he has the guarantee of more money at the end of the contract. Tigers could use more pitching. I think that ballpark would be a good fit for him. It's always a good fit. Any pitcher who goes there would be great. And while the Tigers have a pretty good base, like foundation in their starting rotation, Luis Severino would add some much needed depth and some serious innings to this rotation, which would be good. He was great for the Mets. I'd love him back. Christian Walker, one of the best bats available on the free agent market. 3 years, $60 million to the Washington Nationals. Makes sense to me. This one makes a lot more sense than Nathan Eovaldi. I think the Nationals are super in on Pete Alonso, by the way. If the Mets don't get him, the Nationals could be one of the favorites. He makes a lot of sense to give a long-term contract to on that team, build around that young core, give them some serious pop around that great young talent. Christian Walker is a great stopgap too if they maybe feel like there's someone in the minors that could be coming up that they want, or if they just want instant offense right now, a good corner on that team. Christian Walker's the guy. Great defense at first, great power in that bat. He's budget Pete Alonso at the plate. He's much better defensively. I like this move. 3 years, $60 million, I think is almost exactly what Christian Walker's going to sign for, by the way. That's really good contract prediction. We have Tanner Scott up next. I had him going to the Blue Jays. They have him 3 years, $48 million to the Boston Red Sox. So that comes out to, that's $16 million a year. There's good math by your boy. Yeah, Red Sox makes sense. They need a closer. They need someone at the back end of that bullpen. They're a team that is close to competing, grabbing some good assets here and there. Definitely makes them a playoff contender. They were close to it last year. Tanner Scott would be a great fit. The dude is one of the nastiest left-handed relievers in all of Major League Baseball. Fastball in the upper 90s, devastating slider. Really good. And I could see the Red Sox being very interested in a guy like Tanner Scott. All right. Number 11, just outside the top 10, Sean Manaea. Where do they have Big Sean going? I'd love him back on the Mets. I put him on the Tigers. They have him going to the Texas Rangers. 3 years, $55 million with an opt-out available after 2026. So that would be what, right around $18-ish million a year? I think Manaea is going to clear $20 million a year. What he did last season with the Mets, 12-6, 3.47 ERA, 181 innings. I think that's a $20 million a year pitcher. I think they're going a little bit low on what these pitchers' values are right now. I don't know if the Rangers are going to spend. Isn't there a rumor that they want to spend less money? I don't think they're going to go and spend it on Manaea. And again, I don't think he's going to get 3 for 55. If he's getting 3 for 55 with an opt-out available after 2026, the Mets will sign him. 100% they will bring him back. It doesn't matter what the other moves are. Sean Manaea will be a Met if this is his price. And I just don't see that being the case. And if you're the Rangers, you'd love Sean Manaea at this price, at any price. He'd be a great addition. All right, top 10, Jack Flaherty. Jack Flaherty, where they have him going, 3 years, $60 million with an opt-out available after 2026 to the Atlanta Braves. I mean, he's the guy who feels like he's going to be a Los Angeles Angel or a San Francisco Giant. West Coast kid. I don't see him leaving the West Coast right now. I think it's going to be for one of those teams over there in the West. Braves definitely need one more pitcher right now. I thought it was going to be Nathan Eovaldi. They think it's going to be Jack Flaherty. Again, a lot of this is domino effect. One guy signs, the other guy can't sign there or won't sign there. I think the contract evaluation is pretty fair. He kind of fizzled a little bit towards the end of the year, but 3.17 ERA. I mean, he had a really good season overall. He is a good pitcher. Jack Flaherty looks much better, closer to that Cardinals form when he first came up rather than what we saw at the end of his Cardinals career. Number 9, we have got Teoscar Hernandez, and they've got Teoscar signing a 3-year, $54 million contract with the Dodgers. See, I don't see him taking a 3-year deal for 54 to be with the Dodgers. I mean, he got paid $23 million last year, $23.5 million actually. I think he's going to want $20 million again, and I just think there's going to be a team that's going to offer him a little bit more money. Like, I think he's such a good fit with the Red Sox. I think he makes so much sense there. Someone that could be a part of that middle of the order to help out Rafael Devers and Tristan Casas and Jared Duran. That lineup would be disgusting, by the way. So good. I could see the Blue Jays being interested in bringing him back. I think there's a lot of teams that would be interested in having Teoscar Hernandez, which makes me think you're not going to get this friendly of a deal. 3 years, $54 million for him. That's $18 million a year. No way. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm stupid. They're also talking about how the Red Sox and Orioles are showing interest interest. The Orioles are moving in left field again. That would help out Teoscar Hernandez a ton. Number 8, Anthony Santander. 5 years, $101 million to the Detroit Tigers. I mean, yeah, maybe it would probably be a bit of a wake-up call from him to go from one of the more hitter-friendly ballparks in baseball in Camden Yards to Detroit. He is a good ball player. He's really good, 40 home runs last year. 5 for 101, I think, is pretty accurate. I don't know if the Tigers are going to give that money to a corner outfielder / DH when they already have Kerry Carpenter. Like, there are just so many bigger needs than another just not really good outfielder defensively, especially when his offensive numbers should take a dip in Detroit. I don't really like that fit by any means, Santander to the Tigers. To me, it's whatever. I don't know. I think he's a better fit on other teams, but the contract's pretty accurate. Number 7, Alex Bregman. Is he getting that 11-year, $350 million contract like him and Boris think he should? No, of course not. 5 years, $130 with a $26 million club option for 2030. Houston Astros. Well, we do have the news, and I think this article was written before the news, where Boris and Bregman said he expects to get a similar deal to Manny Machado last offseason, 11 for $350. There's not a shot on God's green earth he ever gets that contract. He is not even close to the player that Manny Machado is. Alex Bregman's very good. 5 for $130, I think, is a pretty fair deal. I think like $25 million a year, 26, 27 for this guy is really fair, especially on a shorter 5-year deal. I think ultimately he could be a Washington National. They don't really have the third base depth. I know they have Brady House, but Alex Bregman would be better. He's a good guy to help lead that ball club into the future because he's been there with the Astros. I could also see him going to a couple other teams that have been linked to him. He makes sense for the Yankees too. He's a good ball player. Like, a lot of teams should want Alex Bregman on their team. It seems like the more money and the longer it goes, the less likely he is to be an Astro. But this isn't out of control by any means. Number 6, Willy Adames. 7 years, $180 to the San Francisco Giants. Quick math, what does that come out to? 7 years for $180. I got to pull the calculator out for this one. That is going to be $25 million a year for 7 years. The Giants need a shortstop badly. Marco Luciano is not going to be that guy. Tyler Fitzgerald is not going to be that guy. Buster Posey's already said that, the new president of baseball ops. He'd be a fantastic fit in San Francisco. He'd be awesome. He is a very good shortstop, one of the 7, 8 best shortstops in Major League Baseball. Great defense, popping that bat, stealing bases. They could use him. He would be a fantastic fit there. And $25 million a year, I think, is a pretty fair valuation for a guy like Willy Adames. And the Giants also just can't keep missing out on free agents every single year. Top 5, Pete Alonso. 5 years, $135 from the New York Mets. I think that's pretty much what the rumor was that they offered him this offseason. That puts Pete at what? 5 years, $135 should be like $27 million a year, I believe. 135 divided by 5, 27, exactly. $27 million. That would make him, I believe, the highest paid first baseman in terms of AAV, which he's not the best first baseman in baseball. I think we can all agree on that. I love Pete. I want him back. I'd sign this deal if I'm the Mets and if I'm Pete Alonso. I don't think you get a better offer than this. And if you do, it's going to be from a team you probably don't want to play for, like the Colorado Rockies or Angels. I hope they bring him back to the Mets. I think they can bring him and Soto. They have so much money to spend. This makes sense. This is fine. Number 4, we've got Max Fried going to the Orioles. 6 years, $168. Maybe. I think the fit is there. The Orioles are going to continue to attack the pitching market. It's either him, Burns, Blake Snell. I think it's going to be one of them will be back in Baltimore or be in Baltimore next season. I see him as a Dodger. I see him as a guy that they're going to spend some money on. I think the Dodgers know that as much pitching depth as they have in terms of just arms, they do need some more reliable guys. And Fried went out for 174 innings this year. That would be huge to the Dodgers' success. He is a good pitcher, pitches in big games, has good stuff. Like, Max Fried's a solid guy. 6 years, $168. Okay. Quick math, what does that come out to? 31 a year? Is that right? 28. Oh my God, my math is so bad. $28 million a year. That can't be right. Hold on. 168 divided by 6. It's 28. I mean, he's good. He's a good player. This makes sense. Orioles will be after a pitcher, no doubt. Number 3, Blake Snell. Are they going to say Red Sox Blake Snell? They do. 5 years, $158 for Blake Snell. That's a lot of money. But Blake Snell, when he's healthy, is simply one of the best pitchers in baseball. I mean, he does stuff that a lot of guys can't do. In 104 innings last year, a 3 ERA, a 2.43 FIP, 145 Ks. He's really good. He deserves to get paid. He is one of the best pitchers in baseball when he is healthy. The issue is he's not a workhorse. He's not going to give you a ton of innings. When he does, he wins the Cy Young. I think he's pitched over 180 innings twice in his career. He's won the Cy Young both of those seasons. So the talent's there. It's just about keeping him healthy and on the field. I like the Red Sox a lot as a fit. I think that's where I put him, right? I think I put him on the Red Sox. I don't even remember now. I have no clue. Maybe did I put him on the Mets? I put him on the Red Sox. Good for me. Okay. Corbin Burns, second final top free agent. Corbin Burns is going to, the New York Mets, 7 years, $224. I'm going to tell you, I really don't think Corbin Burns is going to be a Met. I don't know if the Mets are going to sign up for a 7-year contract, $32 million a year for Corbin Burns. He probably wants 8 years, to be honest. He probably wants to go until he's 38. He's good. He's worth it. Like, he's disgusting. It's hard to give out a long-term contract and make it worth it towards the end. Like, you're always going to have that issues. I think him and David Stearns are fine. I know they kind of of butted heads a little bit in Milwaukee, but I think things have changed and there's not an issue there anymore. I like him. I just, there's something in my guts that's telling me the Mets are not going to be Corbin Burns. So I think they're honestly more likely to go get a Blake Snell even than Corbin Burns, in my opinion. I think the Mets are going to bargain bin shop again, too, on the pitching market. It worked with Minaya and Severino next year. Don't be surprised if they do it again this season. And then number one, the man we all want to see, Juan Soto. I mean, he's got to be a Met, right? I think we're going to offer him the most money. Do they think? They went New York Yankees. Don't love that. Don't love that, but maybe. Actually, wait. Spin Zone. I do love that because Bleacher Report's not always the best. They project he's going to be a New York Yankee, 14 years, $658 million with an opt-out available after 2030, which would, I believe, be his 30-year-old season. I think there probably will be an opt-out somewhere in his contract that he gets to be in charge of. Yeah, I mean, it's the Mets, Yankees, and Dodgers. I really don't truly think any of the other teams have a shot. I don't think anybody's going to spend more than them. I don't think anybody's going to be willing to give out more years than these teams. 14 for 658 puts Juan Soto comfortably at 658 divided by 14, $47 million a year. That'd be the highest AAV for a position player or for anybody in Major League Baseball. That's $7 million more than Aaron Judge. People are talking about $55, $60 million a year from Soto. It's not going to happen. He's going to be in that $45 to $52 million a year range, depending how aggressive these talks get, how much the Mets or the Yankees need to push above the next one to make sure that you sign this guy. He's a generational talent, Ted Williams of our generation. You give him all the money in the world. It's that simple. Also, these stats are not right. He did not hit 23 home runs. He hit 40 home runs last year. He's so good. Juan Soto is so good. I really think he's going to be a New York Met. I know I'm a Mets fan and I'm biased, but when the richest owner in baseball is linked to the player who wants to get paid the most money ever, it's hard not to think the Mets are going to be one of the favorites. Ken Rosenthal even said it today. He thinks that the Mets are the most likely to sign Juan Soto, and I really hope it comes through. That'd be incredible. I would maybe cry. No, I wouldn't cry, but I definitely would pop a bottle. Bleacher Report, honestly, really good job. Who wrote this article? I actually props to them because Bleacher Report in the past has not been the most reliable. There's a few that I disagreed with here, but I think this was a really good job and a good exercise in predicting where free agents go. Almost everything made sense to me. Almost all the predictions I could totally see happening. Shout out to Tim Kelly. If you want to read his article more, link will be in the description. Make sure you guys go read it over there. Give him some support for giving me some content over here. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet done so. You can follow me on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc. Links are in the description. That's where I'll wrap it up. You know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload. Click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all on the next video. Bye.